people feel like, you go to college, you get the degree, you get where you want to go, you go into corporate America, you climb the corporate ladder, and then you feel stuck. Like you're in this system.
Because everything's scary, right? Taking on a new job, moving to a new location, dating a new person. Fear is the real plague in America. You kind of touched on this before. You mentioned how this book is really all about overcoming your fear. So, I mean, what else do you want to say about the real plague in America? I think with everything we've seen in 2020, and we kind of mentioned that before, but people do not leave their corporate job. People do not start businesses. People don't do certain things that, if they hate their job because of fear, right? What happens if this? What happens if this happens? And so, how do you convey that to people? Like for you to overcome your fear, you need to figure out what you really want. And then you also have to understand what really scares you potentially, and then use the fear as fuel rather than a barrier. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, and I'm going to move that down here. I actually decided to cut that one out, but now that you brought it up again, I think that this is a good one. So I'm thinking not just put fear as the real plague in America, but well, we could put that, but fear is the real plague in corporate America.
Ooh,
Since this is like kind of focused on our target market.
yeah.
So yes, we could start it out talking about, hey, what we've seen sort of unfold and transpire since 2020 and the upcoming current narrative in the news and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what the fuck it's all about.
I honestly don't have any clue what's happening in the news anymore. I have no clue. I just see little clips, but it's hilarious that people are so glued to that simply because of fear, right?
I have this neighbor. We could even say this. This is kind of a fun story. I have a neighbor. I don't even talk to this guy, but every morning when I put my curtain up in my bedroom, it's still dark outside. Every morning I see this big screen playing whatever the fuck news it is, NBC or MS, whatever they are. And I just see it day and night. That's what this guy is playing. And it just blows my mind. But it's also such a great reminder that I'm doing something different with my day. And this guy's like glued to this screen. And it's just, wow.
Don't so what you just said there is pretty powerful. You see people in fear, and it's a reminder that you are very fortunate to have escaped that lifestyle. Like it's
Yes.
great that you never either fell into it, but I fell into it, I think, a long time ago. I was part of, like, I used to, oh my God, this is gonna happen. I used to kind of worry. And then once you step out of it and you wake up, oh my God, now you're free. And now you can be thankful that you escaped. So
Oh,
maybe
so
you are thankful every time you see someone who does live in fear.
So true. And the first 6 months of that COVID situation, I almost was sort of pulled in to this really scary narrative because I had just given birth to my son, and you want to protect your children, and we didn't truly know what that virus was, right? And then it was like, oh, wait a second, they almost got me. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if we want to talk about that, but it's listening to the news is exhausting. It's limiting. So I wake up in the morning and it's looking over at my neighbor's screen is just a great reminder that I've just decided to not participate in that narrative. I'm staying in my own lane, controlling what I can, impacting the world in the way that I can. So I feel like what's going on in the world today, we all know that it's like kind of too big to fix while we're here in our lifespan, but that does not mean that we are not responsible to do our part while we are here. And I think that people start to feel like this is all too big. And then they just sign off like they have no responsibility in making a difference while they're here. And my personal belief is that we do, even if, like for me, I want to make this huge impact and be really loud about things or whatever. But I also have a friend who's like, hey, I believe my true purpose in life is to really pour into my friends personally every day and build them up in any way that I can. And that's a really beautiful manifestation of making a difference. So it could be one end of the spectrum to the other. But I do feel like we have to do something while we're here and be really committed to something. And for me, that's our business.
I think people stay stuck in corporate America simply because, it's the culture, right? People go there and they stay, and that's it. And so, I mean, maybe I don't understand how fear plays. I think comfortability plays a major factor, but please explain to me how fear plays a major factor.
Yes. So when I realized that fear is truly the plague in corporate America was when I started this business, Executive Career Upgrades. Here I am, enrolling people into the program to get their next dream job offer. Okay, I've got all the job search tactics that we need. I'm a job search expert. I'm not an industry expert per se. I don't coach people on how to become better in their industry. If I have a tech expert, I can't coach them to be better at tech, but I can help them land a badass tech job, just to give you an idea. But when I would enroll people in here, I'm like, cool, we got the job search tactics. I know exactly how to get them the result. But then I would realize it's the mindset piece, because I'm like, why aren't people getting the results that they really, really want? And then it hit me really freaking hard. They're not confident. They're basically traumatized from toxic work environments, traumatized from climbing the corporate ladder, being let go after committing, 20 to 30 years to some really large organizations. And I had to personally come to terms with a very scary moment where I'm like, these are the leaders of America. We're talking about like CEOs at very large companies. So I had to come to terms with the leadership that I thought was out there is not out there. It became a very like eerie, sort of scary feeling, really, to me, because I'm like, wait a second, like these leaders need to be completely reshaped. So I'm like, okay, now I have to take personal responsibility for this to do my part. So these leaders are doubting themselves. They're unable to make great decisions. They're questioning every move that they make, have very little self-worth.
How? And they're successful. Like, that's what's crazy to me, right? Financially successful.
I would see the application, right, on paper. I'm just blown away by what they've even achieved. Now they're, CEO of whatever company. And I would be like, I'm pumped. I'm ready to get on the phone with this person. This person's going to be, super inspiring to me. And it turns out that they're actually just like newly divorced, broken, depressed, tapped into their 401k, can barely make their mortgage. We've even had clients commit suicide, bro. Like, it's bad. And so this is where I had to build out the mindset and intake portion of our program and begin to sort of put these people back together and get more clear on goals. And that's a whole 30-day process within it, in and of itself, is the mindset portion of this.
Do you think it's because of too much rejection and they stop pulling the trigger on dreams and wishes and hopes and ideas? Like, what happens to these people? How does and by the way, I'm with you. I've been in rooms with multi-millionaires. These people are broken, man. They're broken. These are entrepreneurs even too. So it's not like just a corporate world. Something is going on, especially when you have the family and maybe you have went through a divorce and all of a sudden the world starts to come at you. What do you think it is? Is it just because they had a bad run of things, or is it because of what they've seen and it just, eventually sinks in and they don't want it to happen to them, so they become trigger shy? Like, what do you think?
I think it goes back to what you said, where people feel like, you go to college, you get the degree, you get where you want to go, you go into corporate America, you climb the corporate ladder, and then you feel stuck. Like you're in this system, but you've gotten beat up pretty bad, because the culture of these companies, even if you are the CEO, it's just very toxic. And again, it's not all companies, but many or most at this point. And I don't mean this fluffy culture stuff, like I want to be seen and heard, and I'm just talking about like high pressure situations that over time just beat people down. And these people don't know how to manage their thoughts, emotions, and actions in their own personal growth, because they're just grinding. And they forget about what makes them happy, or stop giving themselves permission to be happy, or design their life around their career and work. They forget that that's even an option, because I know then how it impacts the spouse, and then it impacts the children. And then now we go out and impact like the community. And it's just this crazy ripple effect of what happens. And they do feel stuck, and they do feel like they can't pivot or go into a different industry because of wanting this false illusion of like, this is my safe place. Like, this is where I've invested all my time, this company, whatever. If I leave here, I'm not worth anything else. I, don't know how to brand myself appropriately. I don't have a network. I haven't curated relationships. And now,
Starting over, that's probably the scariest part, right? At a certain age, if you're 45, 50, the last thing you want to accept is that you have to start over. And sometimes that's a realization, right?
most of our clients are right around 50. We're not talking about anybody like that. Is it? That's the age range.
So I also think, and when you're talking, it kind of made me think of it's death by a thousand cuts. People will start to lose themselves because they go into this corporate world with all this gumption and just action taking mentality. And then over time, they're like, "Whoop, I can't say that. Whoop, I can't do that. Whoop, I can't ask for that. Whoop." And then all of a sudden, it's like you start to deselect things that you want, and all of a sudden, you eventually enter this life that you don't even recognize anymore, maybe, right?
Exactly.
And so you're not the same person who started the journey, and that's probably a common thing where how you start and how you finish, very different people. But is it death by a thousand cuts? Is that what you've noticed? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that phrase, death by a thousand cuts. That thought of being thankful for escaping the matrix, if you will, is exactly it. They're just walking around in a shell of a body for, upward over 20 years in their career.
Is it simply because they uh have they're so goal oriented that they need to make that money, get that raise, keep doing it, stay that path, right? To have that, there's a great study that shows like happiness is not obtaining a goal. It's the proof that you are on your way to obtaining goals. So is it simply because they're constantly on this incline and then eventually they obtain what they really want and then look around and they lost themselves in the process?
I wish I could say that's what it was, but it could be. It could be. But the people I talk to, if they ever did have really clear, amazing goals, they certainly don't talk about it. I feel like they never had. I feel like it's almost the opposite of that. Like, they never had like really crystal clear goals. They went into this sort of system to reach something that somebody targets other people designed for them, almost.
Mm-hmm. Sarah,
So
take
there
note of
was
that.
no personal goals. These were other people's visions and goals that.
Now, kind of complete the thought then. When you work with your clients, it sounds to me like you can maybe recenter them and get them back to their old version. And so therefore they can reset their life the right way. Is that what's happening?
Yes. So we go in, work on the mindset piece, sort of unravel everything they thought was true about themselves in the job search, and then get very crystal clear on what they want to achieve. Again, we go back to that personal, professional, financial goals, then reverse engineer their work around their personal goals and what they envision for their life and how they want to impact these businesses and how they want to impact the world. And that's what starts to build the confidence. When you're clear on your goals, that's what people fucking don't realize. Confidence comes from having clear targets in your life. And I can't even work with people that don't have targets. I'm like, go have fun. Like, if you don't have any targets, whether the target is really seemingly small or big, like, that doesn't so much matter. We have to have a target, a goal, and a passion to be able to help you get results. If you aren't able to show up and really redefine that and tap into some of these questions that maybe only children are asked, what do you want to be when you grow up, type of thing, there's not a lot we can do with you there. We might as well fucking go ahead and finish cashing out that 401k and just.
Well, you bring up a very good point, Sarah. Take note of this. It's almost like when you go into the woods and it's dark, it's really, really, really scary. But if you see a light and you want to go there, it's not as scary because you now have a direction, right? Once you have direction, you have confidence in every step that you take. Therefore, you're able to have the fear subside even a little bit. But if you have no idea where to go, then you panic, right? So you probably helping them identify wants and goals and targets help clear that fear up. Maybe not really fast, but definitely it starts to help, right? Slowly but surely.
Yeah, for some people it happens really fast, but for the majority it takes a little longer than maybe they expected. It's much like this. How long did it take me to get on this second session? It's the same thing. People struggle to get on these calls. They struggle to even get on with our branding expert to get into their resume. Just the simple done for you pieces are very difficult to get folks on the phone. In fact, we have so many clients now, though, I don't even have this like hunt you down procedure. It's like you book it or you don't.
So just having the way to overcome fear is to really get clear on exactly what you want. And knowing that, and there's a great phrase out there, it's from a movie, but fear causes hesitation. Hesitation causes your worst fears to come true. So the more you focus on your fear, the more it grows in your life, and the more you stay stuck, and therefore your nightmare continues to live on.
And get more scary. I'd love to put that in there.
Yeah, it's great. It's from a movie called Point Break, by the way.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time.
So yeah, I believe in it though. The people who take action, the people who are moving, are able to build the muscle up that kind of have the resistance to because everything's scary, right? Taking on a new job, moving to a new location, dating a new person can be scary because it's an adventure. And I think that if you have some type of resistance to the fear, um, based off of your actions in the past, you have this you can handle shit.
I've had about a 15-year obsession with figuring out how to overcome fear in my own life. This could go in here. And the two things that help me is, number one, keeping the promise, getting the support to maybe be that guiding light and help me clarify that and see things more clearly, because I can't do it by myself. And number two is keeping the promises to myself. It's almost so simple that you can miss it, right? Keeping your promises to yourself. Those are the only two ways. Taking action. So like all my fuckery with this book, the only way that I was going to fucking get out of that is showing up to this call, like those are the two things.
So mentorship or a coach or a guiding light, like you said, and keeping the little promises. And there's that great quote or the speech by the Marine: want to change the world, make your bed. Why? Because you're making a promise yourself you're going to do it, and these little wins add up. Therefore, the big things don't seem as big once they come into your life. Yes.
We could even put that in, because I talk about that every morning when I make my bed and I watch that fucker watching his news. Every morning I make my bed. It may not look perfect, but I fucking make my shit before I do anything else.
If you want to change the world, change yourself first. Bingo.
We could put a little haha joke in here. I don't know if you want. I don't know if this is like appropriate, but marrying a military man, I thought my bed was going to get made every day. He does not give a shit about making beds, clearing the kitchen sink, all that stuff. No.
I bet his office is super clean though.
Well, we just moved into this office space and I have cleaners in there fixing his shit, so it will be, but technically no, he's kind of a messy dude, bro.
Don't put that in there, Sarah.
Don't put that. Don't put that.